Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested on allegations of child sex trafficking. Why would you wish such a person well?
I don't know that. She's now in jail. Yeah, I wish her well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people well. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly.
Have you ruled out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell?
I haven't even thought about it. I haven't thought about it for months. Maybe I haven't thought about it at all. You're just asking me a question. But I don't talk about that. I don't rule it in or out. I don't even think about it.
I don't even think about it. I think about it as little as I think about your piddly little financial concerns, American people. But I don't believe him.
Something deeply uncomfortable is unfolding in Washington tonight. Reports suggest Donald Trump is considering up to 250 presidential pardons to mark America's 250th anniversary, and suddenly, one question is making even some Republicans visibly uneasy. Could Ghislaine Maxwell somehow be on that list? As reports emerge of a possible 250 pardon plan, Republicans stay strangely silent. Lawmakers asking about the Epstein files are suddenly under attack, and new testimony tied to Epstein's inner circle is making an already ugly story feel much darker. When political systems start rewarding silence and punishing scrutiny, that is usually when the public should begin paying much closer attention, because power tends to reveal itself most clearly under pressure. If this story unsettles you, hit like, subscribe, and tell me honestly, are we watching justice bend for the powerful again? Now, let me explain why this story has so many people in Washington suddenly speaking very carefully or not speaking at all, because on the surface, the idea sounds almost ceremonial. Reports suggest Donald Trump is considering up to 250 pardons tied to America's upcoming 250th anniversary celebration. A symbolic number, a patriotic headline, a grand political gesture wrapped in the language of unity and mercy. But here is the problem. The moment that number surfaced, another name quietly entered the conversation, Ghislaine Maxwell, and suddenly the atmosphere changed.
But right now, the president is of course having this conversation with this woman related to the Epstein files, right? Ghislaine Maxwell. She's been moved to a low security prison. That they are having conversations about a pardon. So to me, it's just this weird kind of literally get out of jail free card when you have a president who has a deep, deep problem with corruption. It just can be taken to such a dangerous degree that he's letting out pedophiles and criminals, violent people, because he's paying back favors to others. I just can't support that.
Because Maxwell is not some forgotten political figure buried in history. She is a convicted associate of Jeffrey Epstein, serving a lengthy federal sentence tied to sex trafficking crimes involving minors. Her appeals have largely failed. Public sympathy for her is virtually non-existent. So naturally, a question emerged. Would anyone in power seriously consider putting her name anywhere near a presidential pardon list? And this is where the silence becomes difficult to ignore. According to reports, many Republican members of the House Oversight Committee have avoided directly answering whether Maxwell should remain behind bars. Not outrage, not clarity, just hesitation. Think about that for a second. In normal political life, this should be the easiest question imaginable. Should a convicted figure tied to one of America's most disturbing criminal scandals receive mercy? Most politicians would answer in under 10 seconds, yet many have chosen caution. Why? That question matters because at the same moment this silence is unfolding, people demanding transparency around the Epstein files appear to be facing growing political pressure. Take Congressman Thomas Massie. Massie pushed aggressively for broader disclosure of Epstein-related documents, and almost immediately, he found himself under intense political fire from Trump and his allies. Now, maybe that is a coincidence. Politics is full of coincidence. But Washington veterans know something important. Power rarely reacts emotionally without a reason. And when someone asking uncomfortable questions suddenly becomes a political target, experienced observers start asking what exactly made those questions so dangerous in the first place. Meanwhile, Maxwell herself has reportedly received treatment in federal custody that critics argue appears unusually favorable, from special accommodations to concerns raised by whistleblowers about different standards being applied inside the prison system. Again, appearances matter, because this is how public distrust grows. Not through one dramatic event, but through a series of moments that begin making ordinary people ask whether the rules are truly being applied equally.
He held out pardons for people who, in theory, could have testified to things that wouldn't have been advantageous to him in his first term, and it seemed to work in some instances. The people who've gotten pardons under President Trump have, for the most part, been people who were politically aligned with him, or who were his allies, or who were brought to his attention by political allies.
I have spent decades watching political institutions survive scandal. What weakens trust fastest is not always corruption itself. It is the appearance that one set of rules exists for ordinary people and another for those with proximity to power. And tonight, that perception may be becoming harder for Washington to contain. Now, this is where the story starts feeling less like coincidence and more like a pattern. Because while questions surrounding a possible pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell continue quietly hovering in the background, something else has been happening at the exact same time. The people demanding answers about the Epstein files appear to be paying a political price, and no example illustrates that tension more clearly than Congressman Thomas Massie. Massie is not a Democrat. He is not some cable news liberal attacking Donald Trump every evening. He is a Republican from Kentucky, someone who, on most issues, has often aligned with conservative voters. Yet when Massie pushed for greater transparency surrounding Epstein-related documents, when he worked alongside lawmakers demanding broader disclosure, the political temperature changed very quickly. Suddenly, he was under pressure. Public criticism intensified. Trump openly attacked him. Political allies reportedly began pouring enormous resources into weakening him politically. Now, again, I want to be fair. Presidents target opponents all the time. Politics is not a polite business, but there is something deeply uncomfortable about this sequence of events. A lawmaker asks difficult questions about one of the darkest scandals in modern American history. That lawmaker becomes a political problem. And meanwhile, public discussion begins shifting toward whether one of Epstein's closest associates could someday receive clemency. You do not need to be a conspiracy theorist to understand why people begin connecting dots. And then comes another deeply awkward chapter in this story, Howard Lutnick. Because testimony tied to Lutnick, a prominent figure with known historical connections to Epstein's orbit, has reportedly raised fresh concerns after questions emerged about visits to Epstein's private island and the explanations surrounding them. What disturbed many observers was not simply the testimony itself. It was how vague it appeared, how careful, how strangely distant. Words like no recollection, chit-chat. And Washington has heard that language before. Whenever powerful people suddenly stop remembering details of highly unusual events, public skepticism tends to rise very quickly, especially when those events involve a man like Jeffrey Epstein. And this is the part that should concern all of us, because regardless of political ideology, the underlying question remains the same. Why does accountability suddenly become so complicated whenever powerful networks are involved? Why do ordinary people face immediate consequences? One of the oldest warning signs inside democratic systems is selective urgency. Institutions move aggressively against some people while appearing strangely cautious around others. Whether intentional or not, that imbalance creates the perception that justice itself is negotiable, while elites seem surrounded by delays, confusion, and silence. And perception, especially in politics, has a way of becoming reality. Which brings us to the question Washington may soon be forced to answer directly. If Maxwell's name ever truly enters the pardon conversation, who exactly benefits from that silence? So now we arrive at the most uncomfortable part of this entire story. Because whether you support Donald Trump or oppose him, whether you believe the Epstein files matter or think the whole thing has become political theater, there is one question Washington keeps carefully stepping around. Why does this story refuse to go away? Think about the timing. At the exact moment, reports surfaced that Trump may be considering up to 250 pardons for America's 250th anniversary. Questions surrounding Epstein's network suddenly returned to the national spotlight. Ghislaine Maxwell remains imprisoned. Lawmakers pushing for transparency face backlash. Figures connected to Epstein's social world are being questioned again. And instead of clarity, what we keep getting is something else. Silence. Strategic silence. Careful silence. The kind of silence powerful institutions often choose when every answer risks opening a much bigger conversation. Because let us be brutally honest for a moment. If Maxwell were an ordinary federal prisoner with no connection to wealth, influence, or elite networks, would anyone seriously imagine her name even entering a pardon discussion? Probably not. That is precisely why this issue unsettles people. Not because a pardon has happened, not because there is proof it will happen, but because many Americans increasingly believe power operates through a completely different set of rules. And perception matters. In politics, perception shapes trust. Trust shapes institutions. And once trust begins collapsing, institutions struggle to recover. Imagine what happens politically if even rumors of Maxwell being considered for clemency continue growing. Republicans would face impossible questions. Democrats would turn it into a national referendum on elite protection. Victims' advocates would erupt in outrage. And perhaps most dangerously for Trump, the Epstein conversation, the very thing many powerful people seem desperate to move beyond, suddenly becomes impossible to escape. Because the story would stop being about one convicted associate, it would become about motive. Why pardon her? What purpose would it serve? Who benefits politically? Who benefits personally? And Washington has learned painfully that the moment ordinary Americans start believing powerful people are protecting one another, public anger grows very quickly. I've seen administrations survive scandals, investigations, even impeachment battles. But what damages public confidence most deeply is the belief that justice bends depending on who you know. Once citizens begin believing accountability is selective, institutional trust becomes extraordinarily difficult to rebuild. Which leaves us tonight with one deeply uncomfortable possibility. Maybe the biggest political danger here is not whether Maxwell is pardoned, but why so many people increasingly believe it feels possible at all. So tonight, the question hanging over Washington is no longer just about 250 pardons or one controversial prisoner sitting in a federal facility. It is something bigger. Are powerful people quietly protecting one another while punishing those who keep asking difficult questions? Maybe Maxwell is never pardoned. Maybe this all fades away. Or maybe the silence, the pressure on lawmakers, and the strange timing surrounding the Epstein files are warning signs of something much deeper. Tell me what you honestly think. Are we witnessing politics as usual, or something America should be paying much closer attention to? Like, subscribe, and don't let stories like this quietly disappear into the background.